Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, September 20th, 2010, the last full day of summer. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London, 12:30 p.m. in Hamilton, and in Mexico City, 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. We have two stories that came in after we put the issue to rest. Parts of the Kansas City, Missouri area and north central and northeast Missouri this morning are cleaning up after a powerful storm system swept through the state, downing trees and leaving thousands without power. The Kansas City Star, which is the newspaper there, reported that nearly 20,000 customers remain without electricity. The system produced hail and wind gusts as high as 80 miles per hour. Some flooding apparently has also been reported. Also, this just came out, the recession in the United States that began in December of '07 officially ended in June of '09. This is according to the group charged with determining when recessions officially begin and when they end. That group is called the National Bureau of Economic Research. They say now that retrogressively they're able to check and see that the recession ended in June of '09, followed thereafter by a slow expansion. The group said that the 18-month recession was the longest since the end of World War II. If another downturn does occur, the so-called double dip, the group said that this would constitute a separate recession. The stock market actually must like what it hears. It's up about 106 points already. Well, now go to our main news. Well, let's bring it up. Here we go. We'll get to Bermuda. If you're in Bermuda, you know that it wasn't that bad, thankfully. But here's Igor all the way to the west. Julia, which is still meandering around out there and not doing any damage. And then to the right now, just to the west of the Cape Verde Islands, is a tropical depression with an 80% probability of becoming a tropical cyclone, i.e. a hurricane. So we'll keep our eye on this a little bit later in the week. But let's go to what happened with Igor. Bring up their path. You can see it began to hit Bermuda about Saturday night and has now been moving out of that area. We'll talk about that in a little bit of detail. There are now hurricane or tropical storm warnings up for Newfoundland. The storm is expected to be up in that area sometime tomorrow afternoon, and then eventually will meander out there into the northern Atlantic and end up pretty much out of action. It did go by Bermuda. We have a picture here. We can bring it up. This is St. George in Bermuda. That got the brunt of the flooding and the rain. Igor hit there with about 93 mile-per-hour winds, and it did have about a 35-hour window in which it lashed the island. The damage was relatively limited. A number of trees are down, but because of the weakening of the storm, by the time it hit Bermuda, it was only a Category 1 storm. When Fabian hit in 2003, Fabian was a Category 3. So this was a much lighter touch than people had expected, thankfully. 9 inches of rain hit the island, but as I say, they did get hit with about 90, 95 mile-an-hour winds. As of 7 a.m. this morning, the police are saying that there were no injuries as a result of the storm. Belco, the Bermuda Electric Company, said that there was considerable damage to the electricity distribution system island-wide. St. George is the one that bore the brunt of it. At one point, actually this morning, they still have about 29,000 customers without power in Bermuda. So considering that the island has 67,000 people and many of them are members of the same electric bill, that's at least a 50% outage rate down there. But we've spoken to some people in Bermuda already. We've communicated with them by email, and everybody is breathing a big sigh of relief. Fortunately, the storm had weakened by the time it came within 40 miles of the island, so it was nowhere near as bad as it could have been. In London, finally, we might be getting some resolution from Brit Insurance. They have set October 15th as the target date for agreeing to the conditions of the sale of the company to a private equity consortium. After the market closed on Friday, Brit said that it's recommending to its shareholders that they accept a bid valuing the company at £10.75 per share. October 15th is the date at which the exclusivity period for negotiations with the U.S.-based Apollo Management and UK CVC Capital will end. The latest indications are that a deal is moving ever closer, though, after Brit's management issued a statement recommending that shareholders accept the bid. That would yield about £850 million for the sale of the company. The board, again, has until the 15th of October to negotiate the deal. It's unknown whether or not there's a breakup fee involved. That's all we know at this point. Fairfax Financial Holdings, according to what we're reading, has agreed to pay $209 million for a 39% stake in the Kuwait-headquartered Gulf Insurance Company. Gulf Insurance works across 7 countries in the Mideast and North Africa. The Kuwait Projects Company said last night that it's agreed to sell a 39% stake in Gulf Insurance for $208 million to Fairfax. This will knock the Kuwait Projects Company share in Gulf Insurance down to about 43% and raise Fairfax up to 41%. Well, the stock market in New York is still up about 110. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Design for peace.
The Financial Times is reporting that former AIA finance chief Steve Roeder is seeking up to $1 billion in capital to start a Hong Kong-based reinsurer. Roeder left AIA when it was set to be sold to Prudential. He's supposedly working with Franz Joseph Hahn, formerly CEO of Swiss Re's China business. Hahn would be the CEO in the new group. Roeder would be the finance chief. Supposedly, Eckert Roth, formerly Global Risk Officer for White Mountain Re, is going to be the Chief Underwriting Officer. The as-yet unnamed reinsurer would initially focus on P&C business in China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. It would challenge large international reinsurers, Bermudian companies, and Lloyd's platforms for business in the region. Nomura has been appointed as the financial advisor. Something's going on in France this morning. The country has stepped up its vigilance against terror threats, and the Interior Minister announced this morning a whole host of new threats, including one against the Parisian transport network. The Interior Minister said the threat is real, and today our vigilance is reinforced. In the last few days, of course, there's been a false bomb alert at the Eiffel Tower, and 5 French workers and 2 of their African colleagues were kidnapped in Niger. We reported on that. Of course, the French Senate has voted to ban Islamic burqas or veils in France. That certainly prompted a host of warnings by Al-Qaeda. Armed guards have been assigned to protect Islamic moderates in Paris. But the main thing that's going on is that they're reporting that there's a possible suicide bombing attack within hours of being carried out, supposedly sometime today, by a woman apparently on the Paris metro system. The security police hunted all day yesterday for her. They were unable to find her. This information is so credible that the Interior Minister canceled a 2-day visit to other parts of the country and is remaining in Paris. Security agents have been combing the transport system, buses and subways, since yesterday morning, but they've remained unsuccessful in finding anything. The security minister in a press conference this morning said this is a real threat. It comes from an elevated level of clues that have been coming in over the last several hours, and the terrorist threat should be at an elevated level. In India, at least 20 people have been killed and 50 injured after 2 trains collided in the central part of the country. Reports said that a freight train smashed into a passenger train that was waiting in the station at Badaras station, about 160 miles north of Bhopal. So far, 20 bodies have been recovered. TV pictures show badly damaged cars and carriages, one of which was actually raised up off the tracks as a result of the collision. Railway authorities are trying to determine how both trains ended up on the same track. Well, we'll wrap up. There's a little bit of quiet going on. It's the week after Monte Carlo. It's a sigh of relief for the people who had returned from Monte Carlo to Bermuda, recognizing that they had dodged the bullet of Igor. And basically we have now until, I suppose, the last week of October when Baden-Baden comes. So we've got a good 4 or 5 week run. Everybody begins to knuckle down and get to business. And then post Baden-Baden, that first week of November, they reconvene and really get down to business. We'll keep everybody informed. In the United States, there's not much going on if you're not interested in the Tea Party, which I can't imagine anybody would be. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.